Hello everyone, welcome to a special episode from UNICEF Mongolia podcast recorded live at COP17 of the UN to combat desertification. Today we are very happy to welcome our UNICEF representative, Beate Dastel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, Vaishla.
So you've been to everywhere in Mongolia just in the 6 months. I'm impressed. And some of the colleagues printed today the map of Mongolia.
Wow.
And the white spots are all the provinces that you've been to already.
Oh my God.
You're only missing 2.
I'm only missing 2.
How come you did this much in just a short time? And I want to ask what struck you the most when you first arrived in Mongolia?
Thank you so much. So first, thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm extremely proud and happy for UNICEF's presence here at the COP17 on desertification. I came to Mongolia 6 months ago as a representative. So this is my sixth country with UNICEF and my second country as a representative. And for me, I really like to see our programs in the field because I think this is UNICEF's real strength. So here in Mongolia, we are present in 21 provinces. So my aim was in my first half year of my tenure here in Mongolia to visit all of them. So now I'm still missing 2. Very soon I will go and see them also. Yesterday I came back to join here the COP17 events. But before that I was in the western provinces. And before that I was in the south, before that in the north and the east. So I'm really, really impressed by the country, by the warmth of its people. But of course, also it's important to see the challenges, especially grounded in Mongolia's vastness. It's a very vast country and not densely populated. So it's the least populated place in the world. That gives us challenges for our programming in its own. Challenges to the people. I realized that people in Mongolia are very resilient, but despite their resilience, especially climate change challenges are hitting them hard, especially the herder communities. So these are the impressions I'm taking away from the field for this conference. And this is also what UNICEF would like to promote, the situation and well-being of children and their fight against climate change together with their families and communities.
Impressive. This links to my second question perfectly. So today we are recording from our beautiful pavilion, UNICEF pavilion, collaborated together with the Water Agency. So could you please explain to our audience why UNICEF is promoting water safety at COP17 and why is it important for UNICEF to be present during the COP17 in Mongolia?
Thank you so much. So we have been partnering with the Water Agency and the Ministry of Environment, as well as the Prime Minister's Office and President's Office and all other aligned ministries for several decades. And I can proudly say that UNICEF is at the moment the most active agency supporting the government and the people in water, sanitation and hygiene programs. This topic is directly linked to climate change because it's also encompassing our climate change programming, and also directly linked to the important topic of this conference on desertification. Because what is desertification? Desertification is lack of water. And we just heard our special guest, His Excellency Jigme Thinley, the former Prime Minister of Bhutan, who is UNICEF Mongolia's and SWA's special guest for this conference. And he mentioned actually that the land is dying from the lack of water. So we see this phenomenon worldwide. As I mentioned, in all the countries where I've worked for UNICEF, unfortunately, we see the water levels shrinking, the groundwater levels. In my previous country, Djibouti, we saw the same phenomenon. So while we were able to find water, not as deep as we have to dig now, we can see that in our drilling, in our water source programs, we have to drill deeper and deeper in some places that are heavily impacted by the shrinking of the groundwater levels. So that's one reason why we really wanted to be present in the COP17 here in Mongolia. So first, we are also using the opportunity, since we're working so closely for so many years with the Water Authority and the environment sector of Mongolia. And they were inviting us to join here at the COP17 and to present the programs we have done, but also to promote the situation of children, especially in the most vulnerable zones, impacted the most by desertification and climate change.
You mentioned His Excellency, former Prime Minister of Bhutan. You had a very productive conversation just before this episode. So could you please explain to our audience a bit more about Sanitation and Water for All initiative? And also, you had another productive conversation with the foreign advisor to the President of Mongolia, Dr. Ottbayer. So what did you discuss with him, and how UNICEF is supporting the government initiatives in Mongolia?
Sure. No, actually, Sanitation and Water for All is a global compact that is including over 150 partners worldwide, from governments, but also philanthropists from the private sector, NGOs, like everyone who is supporting and very active in the domain of sanitation and water. So the initiative is growing. And among the initiatives, the most important is the Heads of States initiatives. So these are commitments by countries actually joining these commitments and to promote water as the key resource, water sanitation, and for UNICEF important also hygiene, of course, globally, because we believe that working together across borders, working together across countries, sharing our experience will teach us and will actually show us and guide us how to deal with this very important source and water for children in the future. So that is UNICEF's commitment. In my conversations with our previous guests, and these are just like the starting interviews that we will have for the rest of the week, I spoke to His Excellency Jigme Thinley, former Prime Minister of Bhutan, who is one of the key ambassadors of Sanitation and Water for All globally. That's also why we invited him, because he's promoting water and sanitation not only in his country, but globally for the initiative. And of course, Dr. Ottbayer, who is the Foreign Affairs Advisor to the President of Mongolia, is one of our key partners when it comes to working with the presidency. So His Excellency, the President of Mongolia, has adopted this wonderful initiative of the 333 lakes and of the blue gold. So Mongolia calls water the blue gold, because I think in terms of richness, when it comes to water resources in lakes, Mongolia is one of the leading in the world. And me and myself, I had the pleasure to see many of them, including Lake Ufs, Lake Hofskol, and many more. And it's really touching to see that. So in my conversation with Dr. Ottbayer, we discussed Mongolia's role, not only for the COP17 presidency for the next 2 years, but we also discussed the role, especially led by the President of Mongolia, for showcasing Mongolia's example for the world. So I think there's a lot for Mongolia to be very proud of. And I'm especially proud of being able to work here at this very auspicious and important time. And with the leadership of the president of the country, I think Mongolia can really give a great example to the world. And UNICEF, of course, we stand ready to support in all these initiatives, as we have done over decades.
Sure, impressive. Also, earlier today, we had our, with the help of UNICEF Madagascar, we had youth delegates visiting us from all the way from Madagascar. So could you please explain how youth in Mongolia could also commit to water safety and how they could support UNICEF work?
So we are very, very happy about the youth delegation that came all the way from Madagascar with our colleagues from UNICEF Madagascar. Why is it important to emphasize their participation? So I mentioned, for example, Bhutan before. So there are only 4 countries in the world, including Madagascar and Bhutan, who are carbon negative. And this is a huge commitment. So it means they're emitting less emissions than absorbing. And that's a wonderful commitment. And I hope in this initiative, more countries can join. I think Mongolia also giving a wonderful example, protecting nature, protecting the environment. One of the initiatives that I would like to mention that also I think the youth delegations were talking about is the Billion Tree Initiative. So the Billion Tree Initiative, another initiative like inaugurated by His Excellency the President of Mongolia, is an initiative that is around tree planting. And when we see today the vastness of Mongolia and also consider the important role that trees have in groundwater regulation, not only absorbing emissions, but also influencing water sources in the future. I think this cannot be more crucial to discuss about this at this time. So the youth delegation, they picked up that topic, but also resilience of children and young people, because the future ahead of us will have to deal with many challenges. And I think the youth delegation here, they're tackling these challenges in their discussions. So I am really confident that what youth and children are contributing will have a big impact on the declarations made at the end of this conference that will steer the next 2 years.
Thank you. As my last question, even though we are only concluding our first week of COP17 and on Monday we have the Water Day, so I would like to know, what are you expecting? What outcomes do you want to see at the end of the COP17 that is being organized in Mongolia?
Yes. So, of course, I would like to see the country declarations that will come as the key outcome from this conference. And we have a very good international participation. So I would like to congratulate Mongolia on actually putting in place this conference and also achieving such a rich international participation and interest. I think that shows that nowadays desertification is becoming such an important topic directly linked to the questions of climate change. From UNICEF side, what we would like to see is not only the presence at this conference, hosting our guests, bringing together parties from the private sector, from the government, from all constituencies, children, young people, all the communities that want to participate here. And that's also why we're doing this podcast, because we want many people to hear the messages that we want to publish. But more importantly, we want to promote and show to everyone the programs we are doing from UNICEF side. So UNICEF's programs have been funded and enabled by so many partners. So we have partners from our national committees, which is mainly the private sector in different countries of the world, financing our programs. We have multilateral partners, bilateral partners, we have philanthropist partners, but more importantly also a lot of government partners who are co-financing our programs at the central but also subnational level. So one of the examples we want to show is the Dambardaja spring rehabilitation. So that's a very important spring here in the area of the capital. So it's very crucial to protect this spring because it's a source of fresh water and potable water for the whole population, especially in the capital area. So we have been invited by the presidency, together with the Water Authority and Ministry of Environment, to rehabilitate that spring. So I'm very, very proud of this program. We will launch it next week. We also have invited different partners from the private sector, for example, Colomb Bank, but also many others, who will support us in future spring protection programs and lake protection programs. So that comes in addition to the programs we are doing in terms of providing water sources to schools, to hospitals, to public facilities, but also to communities, because that's our strongest programmatic point. We're working in all the 21 provinces, giving communities, schools, health centers, hospitals, wherever children are concerned, better access to water, sanitation and hygiene. And we have done this proudly all over the country. This will continue, and I think the commitment that UNICEF will take away from this important conference is to continue in that sense. And we hope that with support of our donors and partners, we will be able to do more such programs in the future that are very necessary, because the key for the future, the key for life will be water. And our programs, and many of them we showcase here in our exhibition area, they always link water, sanitation, hygiene, and climate change programs to renewable energy solutions. So I can say proudly that the most innovative and modern energy solutions, when it comes to solar panels, when it comes to geothermal heat, have been implemented by UNICEF. And that has been a reason, for example, for the Prime Minister, together with the line ministries, including education, to promote a new green school initiative that has been announced 2 days ago in the cabinet meeting. And UNICEF will be a key implementing partner from the technical side to implement 200 schools nationwide that encompass the green school concept. So the green school concept includes for example, not only water, sanitation and hygiene, but also safety, child protection, inclusion, of course, equal access, equity for education. So all the important elements, also including health and nutrition. And I think our work in the water, sanitation, hygiene sector, climate change sector, is bringing together all these elements.
It was a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
For every child, water supply.
Thank you. For every child, Baichla. And all to our Mongolian listeners, I would like to wish a Sechan Namrchich Beno.
Oh yeah, thank you so
Baichla.
much.